Ah, yeah. So those of you that struggled through our 8 hours worth of live streaming of building the B10Rs know that I teased that I'd got a new ESC, and it was this little puppy, the Elceram Nitride. So that's what we're going to talk about today. So the Elceram Nitride, I'll just bring it on this camera. It's quite a nice sized ESC. It comes complete with the external capacitors. I need to trim it down and mount them on the side of the chassis here, but here's a quick install the other night. There's a few distinguishing features of the Nitride. Solid state cooling, so no active fan. It hasn't got an aluminium heat sink like the other ESCs that I've got. It's a nitride aluminium ceramic blend, which is actually on the underneath the ESC, which is unusual, but thought it might be interesting to screw it to the chassis with a bit of cooling compound off a computer CPU and see if that offers any more cooling. But to be fair, so far it's run fairly cool. And the cooler being on the bottom of the ESC leads it to the other big feature it's got, which is this LCD screen on top. And unlike a lot of ESCs that are on the market, tuning can actually be done on the ESC and not in an annoying blinky LED way. Because I hate those blinky LEDs. They're very frustrating. Anyway, no blinky LEDs and no separate phone app or separate tuning box. The Corsair that I also run, that's a bit better because you don't have to have a separate Bluetooth module or whatever to connect to it. But this is all internal and a little screen on top. So if we have a bit more of a look at it, here we go. That's the display that you get when you boot it up. And there's a few things here. One, it displays what profile you're in. At the moment I'm in carpet. It says if there's any event or error or anything. And this one, if I click left to go into events, you can see it's just that it's saying that the RX isn't on, or the receiver isn't on. That's because I haven't actually turned the transmitter on, so it detects when it's actually linked up and everything. If we go back to the main, you can see that the current battery voltage is 8.2, current temperature of the ESC itself is 20 degrees. You can also flick through into graphs and everything that it's recorded over the last run. Obviously this is fresh startup, so there's nothing really in here at the moment. We get all nice graphs and history of information. You also get maintenance intervals and stuff. I haven't set them up yet. Go back to main. So I suppose one of the questions is what setup options to get on this. And to be fair, I've had a few ESCs now. I've had the BL120, which is a great ESC for the money. Separate tuning box and everything. You get some rudimentary tuning items on there. I've had the next one I had was the Hobby Wing XR Temporo, which is very feature rich, separate Bluetooth tuning box or separate hardware tuning box with a lot of functionality. So turbo time in, turbo delay, boost settings, the degrees of ramping of the boost and so forth, smoothing, all sorts. This isn't quite as feature rich as the Corsair or the Hobby Wing, but it does include everything. He says, knock in the camera, everything that you would generally be using, and it's a lot easier. I didn't know if I'd get on with this whole you got to pick up your car to tune it malarkey. It's so much easier than getting the tuning box out or getting the phone out and pairing it up to the speed controller. So let's have a quick run through of the menus. To get into the tuning menu, just hold these two buttons for a few seconds and it goes into the tuning. Now The menu goes through first is throttle, but I want to click back one so you can see that there's the options of the profiles at the moment. Carpet. I wonder if I can get this to focus a bit better. It says lifting the camera, dropping the camera, lifting the camera, lifting the car. You can just about read it there. Carpet. You can flick through, so it's kids mode. I haven't checked the kids mode. I don't have kids, so I don't have to worry about the kids mode. But I assume that cuts off a lot of the throttle and the turbo and stuff. Go back through carpet, Astro, dirt, training mode, and the default. So each one of these, I believe, can be adjusted. Currently, the carpet one's the one that I've played with most. You can go through into throttle. And in here you can set most common options, which is the pulse width modulation, or the frequency of the drive. Lower frequencies tend to get higher amperage, but not be as smooth. So generally high grip surfaces like carpet or whatever, you'd be running a low pulse width modulation or a low frequency that I've got here set at 8. This is a lot clearer to the naked eye, I promise you. I just stop the beeping over here. And any exponential that you want to set on it as well. You can click through to brake next. So you set the min brake, the max brake, exponential on the brake, and if drag brake is on. And the frequency. If drag brake is on, it uses the setting there for minimum, for the amount of drag brake that it applies when you let off the throttle. Setting any of these, really easy. Hold the edit button and you can either move them up, move them down, hit next, go to the next one, click through the options and you eventually get to save, and then you move on to the next one. Reverse, you can either set the speeds for reverse, or if it's in this case off, because of course I'm a very good boy and my kit manner has never shouted at me for having reverse enabled, because I would never do such a thing. So you can turn reverse on and off there. Next option is boost. Now, boost, you can kind of rudimentarily set, I believe anyway, an exponential to it. So you can set boost that it aims for at any particular RPM. So you can set you know, something that's quite flat on the boost for the bottom bit of the rev range, and then set something a bit steeper. So you can tune that a little bit. And then you got the turbo. So the overall degrees of advance on the turbo, the delay for the turbo kicking in, and then the ramp up and the ramp down. And the ramp up and ramp down, the higher the number, the more the quicker the turbo comes in. You can right down low, so the turbo comes in really slow. Actually, I ran it down to, you know, like the lower setting you can put it on it, and it really slowly ramped up. Where you can put in the higher digits and have it really. Whole angle. We haven't really got to the bottom of this one yet. I haven't really looked into it, but it's kind of affects the whole timing range as I understand it. So it's the same as turning the end bell on your motor and changing the time in there. You can just set it in there, so it's kind of like the static timing that everything goes from. And then the maintenance config, like I said, I haven't set any of them up yet. The protection, so what voltage goes into limp mode, cut off voltages. If your motor's got a temperature sensor in it, you can set a temperature limit on the motor, and the same for the ESC, a temperature limit there. The calibration of the receiver, fairly easy. You go into calibration mode, you turn it on. Obviously, if you've got a transmitter connected, literally just go through the whole rev range up to max, down to minimum, leave it in center, and hit calibrate, and that's it done. Actually, when you got the transmitter going and you're doing the calibration, you can see what signal it's sending through from the receiver to the ESC. It's kind of funky. Now we're back around to profile. All in all the functions you would really need to be racing. It's a very smooth controller, and like I said, the ease of being able to do all this on the ESC itself is really quite nice. I didn't think I'd like it as much as I do, but it is kind of funky having the readout here. One thing it's really helped me with, and this is such a teeny tiny thing, but on a race night it really helps, where you're rushing to get your car on track, and just before you chuck it down you're like, oh, did I change my battery? Because you know, you always get to that point of the night, don't you? It's always been nice to be looking down and seeing the readout there of the battery voltage, so I know if I've got a charged pack in there or not. There are a few warnings in the instructions to fit, which I read, but obviously didn't pay any attention to. The first one was that if you're using a Futaba, then switch the throttle channel, reverse it. I read that bit, I paid attention, I did that. Second thing it said was, first calibration, remove the sensor wire from your motor. I was a good boy, I did that too. The bit I didn't particularly pay attention to, because I totally glossed over the bit of the receiver wiring. And like most things, you know, there's usually a little telltale on one of the wires. See that white line there? So that's my servo telling me that that ends the signal wire. Now most things seem to put the marking on the signal wire. This one does not, however. It puts it on the negative wire. I'm not sure if you can quite see it there on camera. There is a line on that wire there. And that kind of threw me for six for a moment when I was just going, it's not recognising my receiver. That's because I got that the wrong way around. Nothing broken though, so all good. So we've had the one practice day with this in so far, and I was really concentrating on trying to set the chassis up, because as you might have seen in my in the recent MB video, been having a few not so much handling problems as quirks with this chassis. It keeps on lifting the inside rear wheel, but that was the day that I was working on that was also the first day that we took this out, and first impressions are it's a brilliant bit of kit. It looks very funky. Everyone always wants to know what's going on with it, and like to have a look at the graphs and the features of it and what can be programmed. It was very smooth, stayed very cool all day, very comparable to the Hobby Wing and the Corsa Tech from the power I was getting from it. Might even think that it's smoother than the Corsa Tech. I think the Corsa Tech's smoother than the Hobby Wing, but this might actually be smoother again. But we'll have a bit more of a play with it. We'll have a look through the graphs one day, and maybe do a follow-up on how useful those are. But initially, straight out of the box, actually really quite liking it. And I didn't realise how much I'd like that little screen. Be able to switch on here. One word of warning though, if you are running one of these and Rob Fox is around, then he's also got one, and he's got quite adept at changing settings on you quickly. He might move your car, take your turbo off, and then just leave it back on your table in like milliseconds. And your turbo's off. He did that to me on the weekend. So just a word of warning, if you happen to be in the environment of Rob Fox, he may steal your turbo from you. But apart from that, I think it's a brilliant bit of kit. We'll run it for the next few weeks, and we'll probably do a bit of a follow-up video as well for you. So hope you like that brief overview, and we'll see you again soon. And now if I push this button here...